What is up, all you fishing friends and bait men? It's live here in the bait room right now, and got a lot of cool things to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about winter cranking, which is one of my favorite things. I'm going to try to get this light where it's not smoking me in the face so bad. It's pretty bad. There we go. And tonight we're going to talk about winter cranking. I have some cool things I want to announce and tell you guys about, and then I got to go ahead to work tonight. I've been really sick the last few days, so I've got to go back. I've kind of had strep throat. It's been a bad deal. So, but got a lot of cool stuff to talk about tonight. Glad you guys are jumping in here. I've got to go through this month's new MTB Pro box with you guys. I've got a big box full of swim baits that you guys probably really want to see, and then we're going to talk about these boxes above me, and we're going to talk about some of my favorite winter crankbaits, and some tips to go along the way, which ones to fish where, and why I like certain ones better than others, and that's what we're going to do tonight. But first things first, I have updated my website, thebaitman.com, the-baitman.com. I put a new blog up just a few minutes ago. I got a couple new articles. I had a good friend publish an article on the Corrado DC, a review. And I feel it's good to do a review after a product's been out a few months, because anybody can write a review when the hype is good. So DC's been out for a few months now, and he made an awesome article, and if you haven't got to try one, you'll probably want to after that. And then I wrote an article, 5 companies that are going to have a big 2019. You want to check that out. There might be some familiar names on there. What's up, Heather? And so that's live on the site, plus blog, and I'm going to try to update the website every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that way I'm not trying to do YouTube on top of writing and stuff like that. So that's that. Now for my big news, and it is on my website. I am going to be working with 6 Cents Fishing Company. I talked to Casey for quite a while yesterday, just about life and fishing in general, and told him about the Baitman box and how guys on YouTube are really asking for it, and it's going to happen. So probably in the next month or so, you'll be able to get a 6 Cents signature box from the Baitman. We're going to try to do one every 3 months. Basically, we're going to do one in the spring, the summer, and the fall. And this isn't a box where we're just trying to put out items that need to be moved in a discount, stuff like that. This is going to be baits you're going to buy, and I've tailored the baits for what I think would be great all across the country. So there is a little bit of challenge there, because baits I think that are great on Kentucky Lake may not be great on the East Coast. So I've got to figure out what's going to be best for everybody around. Also probably going to have a signature color. We're going to call it the jank bait. And you guessed it, it's going to have some chartreuse and purple on it. So I'm really excited about that. And I want to say thanks to Casey at 6 Cents. He's been a big supporter of mine for a long time. You know, they don't pay me nothing. This ain't a paid deal. It's just something to help out you guys catch a few more fish. Let me turn this other light on. There we go. This will help us a little bit, drown out some of this white light quite a bit. So yeah, I just about started fire. But anyway, really excited about that. So we're going to have some custom discount codes for you guys to save a little extra money on 6 Cents products. Man, this thing is so bright. I've got to adjust this light just a little bit, guys. There we go. Now my face ain't shining too bad. So really excited for that. I think we're going to have the box right around $40 to $50. But you're going to get premium products and probably some apparel. So that I'm really excited for. Again, thanks again, Casey, 6 Cents. Going to have some cool stuff on the way. But I'm going to pull this up on YouTube, guys, so I can read all the comments. It's a lot easier for me to read it here on my laptop than it is on my cell phone sometime. And I'll try to catch up on the comments and talk to you guys as we go on. And the guys that have been donating to the stream, guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I just got a webcam in today. I'm having a little issues getting my microphone synced in, so I'm going to have a friend help me. One I'm good with, but having two mics, it's going to be a challenge, but it'd be worth it in the end to have two people back and forth on this thing. So I'm going to share this over on my Facebook page, and then we'll get going on this. Alright, I will answer a few questions. Just give me a second, and then I got to get rolling. I've got about an hour, and I've got to go get ready for work and all that good stuff. Man, I hope nobody gets as many pop-ups as I get on my laptop. Alright. Let's see here. I'm going to scroll through real quick. What are the odds I get a hook in my finger tonight? I would say pretty good. Pretty good. I am feeling a little bit better, Jay. Thanks for asking. Fishing is tough, that is for sure. Southern Bastard got on them smallmouth today. Man, I wish I would. What's the best braided line to use to flip pods in Florida? Well, I don't know if it matters what state you're in. The braided line isn't going to change. You know, I like Power Pro pretty well. Sunline makes really good braid. I think it's like SX1. But Power Pro is probably my favorite, just the normal Power Pro. I like the Super Slick for my spinning reels, but if I'm flipping, I like the 4-strand braid pretty well. Let's see. I just picked up the 6 cents neoprene rod sleeve. Any reason that the sleeve or the string is not long enough to wrap around the rod butt or even the reel? You got an 8-foot rod? That's what I would think. The ones I've seen, they fit up to 7.5-foot rods. So if you got a really long rod, I could see where it could be a little bit short. Those rod sleeves aren't meant to go over reels. They stop above the reels. Most companies don't make them to go over the reels. Winning weight at Rayburn, 70 pounds. I'm going to say it's going to be closer to the 90-pound mark. Let's see. Playing with braided floral leader for spinning gear. What's your favorite knot? RP knot. Get on there and look up Brent Ayler RP knot. That is a really good one. What's up, Frank Hazley? Let's see. Rod sleeve is on a 7.26 cent series Lux. I got that rod. That's a sweet rod. That's odd. Send them a message. Send 6 cents a message on their page. They got good customer service. They'll get back in touch with you. I'd hate to say, you know, there was an error or something, but I've never seen a super short one. Bass Pro braid is made in the same place Seaguar line's made, so. Hey, Southern Bastard, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate you guys joining on here. So I got to get into the show. We're going to roll through a few things real quick before I get into winter crankbaits. I just got this in the mail. This is the MTB Pro box for this month. And I will go ahead and tell you that their tackle company, Catchco, has some new stuff coming. And they've already sent me a couple pictures and asked me my thoughts. And they got some really legit new designs coming. And I'm really excited to be able to work with them a little bit and show you guys some stuff about their baits. But you can use the code BAITMAN to get 10% off your box. And I'll just go, there's a link, there'll be a link in my bio as well. If you want to go purchase the MTB. If you don't, no big deal. But there's some cool baits in here, especially for wintertime fishing. This is a Jinko Pursues 110 jerk bait. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is a Mega Bass 110 knockoff. There's lots of companies that do it out there. There's no, it's not knocking on Jinko, but obviously it's going to be a great cold weather jerkbait. This is a really good color pattern too. Just the white albino. Has VMC hooks on it. It's going to be a good bait wintertime, especially in the spring. This is a pretty cool bait. We are talking winter cranking, so whoa, it would be great to get a winter crankbait, and this is the new flat balsa B2 from Bagley. And if you know anything about Bagley, they used to be the best balsa crankbait company out there, and they went through several changes and changed their baits. Well, this is an MTB exclusive bait in chartreuse and black, flat side, and it does have a square bill on it, so it's going to be good for you guys in stained water. Those warm days where the fish push up real shallow, something like this, it's going to be killer. We're going to talk about several baits like this as well. So that's in there. Here's some hooks, some kind of fluke hooks. I don't know if I'd ever use these, to be quite honest with you. It'd be hard to get me away from owner Gamakatsu. What's up, Clayton? Now this is a cool bait. This is actually from Weston. If you know anything about Weston, they make a bunch of really cool swim baits and ducks and bats, and they're all handmade. This is actually a little glide bait. I thought it was a rattle trap, and the more I played with it, it's a suspending Weston swim. It's easy to cast and fish on a normal spinning rod as well as a light jerkbait setup. So basically, this is like a half rattle trap, half glide bait. It suspends, and that's pretty cool. It's got a couple knockers on it. That's definitely a unique bait that I probably wouldn't have got if I had to get in the LTB. Thank you for the donation, Chris McVeigh. I have your stuff right under me. It's going to UPS tomorrow. I appreciate that. And then really all else is in here is some battle bugs from Big Bite Baits. And guess what? I love Big Bite Baits, and they make some awesome soft plastics. My favorite is the Fighting Frog, but I think you can get up on Alex Rudd Fishing's channel, and he did an awesome video about this battle bug. This is a good color too. Tilapia is probably one of my favorite Big Bite colors. They bite that thing. So, soft plastics do work in the winter, early springtime. I throw them on that Carolina rig and drag it slow. So pretty good box, for the price in this MTB Pro. I know it's Jinko based like $9, and this is like $15, and this is 10. So it's a pretty good box. And again, lots of cool stuff coming from Mystery Tackle Box. Really excited for that right there. Again, if you're interested, hit that link on the bottom. If not, no big deal, because we got plenty of baits to go through tonight. So I know there's going to be some people on here that love swim baits. And guys, I've got some of the best looking swim baits ever. And so if y'all been peeping my Instagram, y'all probably seen what I got in the other day. This is from a company that's local here called Ignite Swim Baits. Thank you, Josh. Charlie, I think you're going to be fine either way. MTB or 6 cents, you're going to get some cool baits, man. This is a 9-inch swim bait. What I like to call a big mofo. I mean, it is a dang baby leg. I mean, look at this. This is my arm. This is the swim bait. That's 9 inches. Yeah. Don't tell my wife that's 9 inches either, by the way. But, okay, that was a joke. But this color's called Table Rock Shad, and this is a giant bait. You would have to have a 12-aught beast hook in this if you want to run it weedless. But they are really, really solid. But you see how limp that is. Tranks 200, that's a sweet reel. I wish I had one, to be honest with you, James. Low profile, beefed up gears, super smooth drag. It's a really good reel. But yeah, they do make smaller. So that's the 9-inch one. You would need a really big swim bait head with that. I wouldn't even go. You got to have at least a 10-aught. But I have a head that'll fit this bait. So that's the 9-inch from Ignite. But what I'm really excited is the other baits. So this is a color you don't see. I think for one of those it's $16, Adam. Their website's ignitebaits.com. They'll get you taken care of. All you gotta do is say the Baitman sent me. So this is the 7-inch version, and this is a bone-colored swim bait. I like this bone color. You don't see that in a swim bait very much. Who do you predict will win the FLW Sam Rayburn tournament? Jeff. Well, I was going to say Jeff Sprague, but I don't know if he's even fishing. I think he went to. I would say Jeff Sprague if he's fishing FLW. Chris McCall would be a really hard dude to pick against. Clark Ream knows it very well. Any of those Texas, Oklahoma guys, they're going to be hammers there. This is a bone color from Ignite Swim Baits, 7-inch super limp. Really like that. Totally different. You know, you don't see that every day. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know I'm going to give away some of these swim baits over on my Facebook page. So that's the bone color. This is one I've thrown before on Lake Pickwick, and they actually smashed this thing. This color is chartreuse shad, but it's a little different. It's got that gray back, and it's almost a lime coloring down in the middle. I threw this bait right here in a 5-inch a couple years ago on Pickwick, and they would absolutely destroy it. Again, these colors are absolutely sick. And I gotta do is get on Ignite Baits. So I'll show you a few more. This is a really good one. This is called Vayner. And it's very similar to that Table Rock shad, but you see the belly is really clear on it. It's got that line through, and it's got that purple blue shimmy top on it. Yeah, this is one right here you're gonna want. I know my buddy Frank that's watching here, he knows about Vayner. He's caught some fish on that thing. But this company they come back, they got new ownership, and they sent me a bunch of baits, and I said I'd take care of them because, you know, I throw their swim baits. I don't just throw the Babe everywhere or Bass Tricks. I throw a little bit of everything, and this is my favorite color right here. I think you know what's coming, but this is just absolutely, this is called Shimmer Shad, and look at that purple top, little white belly, chartreuse line through the middle. Ooh-wee. So what's great is Ignite, if I can get it in the bottom here, they also make their own swim bait heads. So when you get on their website, you can buy these heads right here, which are perfect, especially for the small version, and they'll even fit the big ones. This right here, it's got a little screw lock on it. It's money on these 5-inch Ignites. Somebody asked, how about the Boom Boom swim bait? Boom Boom's a good bait. It's basically made to try to be the Babe, but turned out to be its own swim bait. It's a great bait. I like that they're now doing a line through model in it. This is a cool color, and then I'll move on from the swim baits. This is Kentucky Lake Special. I have seen the Bullgill 4x4, and I've seen the new Glide bait today. So that right there is just a straight up chartreuse purple headed monster. So hopefully you guys like that. If you guys like any of these baits, head over to ignitebaits.com. Tell them the Baitman sent you. I mean, this is a common mold. This is the top shelf swim bait mold. You can get a lot of people pour these, but they're local, and they have their plastic formula they've got down pat, and they've got some awesome colors. So this ain't a bait that's like exclusive, no one else can find. There's several other companies that pour swim bait like this, but they're local, and they've always treated me good. So hey, that's how I roll. Best way to store large swim baits to keep them straight, man, I keep them in the package. Always want my tail going down. You don't want it up, especially if you're hanging it somewhere. If you hang them sideways, it ain't no big deal. You can put them in a box, but sometimes they get really sensitive to heat. So that's something I'm trying to figure out, and something I've kind of tried talking to Bass Mafia with, and said, man, we really need a way to store these big swim baits. I think it is a need to figure out how to store these soft swim baits. Let's see, I'm going to answer a few questions. 8 or 10-aught beast hook for 6-inch Boom Boom. I like the 8. It's not as thick as the Babe, so you won't need that extra gap. But I think Fred recommends an 8-aught. beast hook. In your opinion, what is the 6 cents best deep diving crankbait? Well, it depends on how deep you want to fish. If you're talking 20 foot plus, the Cloud 25, you're talking 10 to 15 foot. I would probably go, with the Cloud 10. They're all pretty good. Now you've got different style crankbaits. They have the Crush series and that other stuff. If you want to do some winter time fishing, then I would suggest this guy right here. This is the Curve 55. Let's see. Right now, a jig or Texas rig, I'd go with the jig. Thoughts on KVD jerkbaits? I think for the money, they're really good. Especially the deep J300. When do you know you got enough baits? You can never have enough baits. I'm just going to let you know that. Good question, though. A Magnum A-rig, I'd love to see that. Any thoughts on Z-Man Snakehead Swim Jim? I haven't seen it, so I can't give you any thoughts on it, so I'll keep it real. Maybe I need to grab a few. Let's talk winter cranking. That's one of my favorite things, and we're going to start with the forgotten mid-depth crankbaits. So many guys are into square bills and all this crazy stuff, or deeper diver crankbaits. They forget about the baits like this one right here, which is the Fat Papa 55. This is just a mid-depth crankbait, and this thing catches a lot of fish, especially in the winter. Built kind of similar to a Bandit, a little bigger body. This is a great bait. It dives about 8 to 10 feet. It's got a wider profile up at the head, so you're going to get a lot of tail wobble. This catches a lot of fish. And when I start in winter, I really start targeting that 8 to 12 feet range first before I go super shallow or go really deep. So that's a great color, especially in the winter, early springtime. And then right now, probably one of my favorite is the Spro Rock Crawler 55. Now this is the deep version. It's got a longer lip, and I'll show you the difference on a shallow one. If I can find one real quick. Let me grab up this box here. It's got a lot of my winter crankbaits in it. So there's one I've got that's been tied on. So if you see this one right here, this is a rock crawler, this is red crawl. I caught a ton of fish on this last year. But if you'll notice, the lips on those are totally different. One goes out at about 15 degrees, while this one almost 40 degrees. And it's also shorter. This is only going to dive about 8 foot. I can get this bait right here down to about 13, 14 foot, cranking on 10-pound fluoro. When I fish in the winter, I'm going to throw these crankbaits on 10-pound fluorocarbon. I'm going to use a super soft rod, usually a glass or a composite rod, and I'm going to wind really slow. I don't want these burning. I want these right here. I want these hunting on the bottom, ticking the rocks really, really slow. When I hit a stump, I'm just going to let the thing float back. It's going to go with any of these crankbaits. I'm going to start on rock, main lake points, 45-degree banks. That's where I'm going to throw these rock crawlers at. Really like these. They don't hang up hardly at all. Awesome bait. It catches janks. And then we have the 6 cents Curve 55. So very wiggle wartish. It's got a tighter wobble than a wiggle wart. But the way it's designed, if you notice, this bill isn't real wide. If you look at that compared to a rock crawler, the rock crawler over here in my right hand has a wide bill, where this is a little bit narrow. And what that's going to do is going to give this a really tight action, but with that wide body, it kind of wants to go side to side as you reel it, which is why they call it the curve. Whereas your rock crawler is going to have that traditional fat tail moving back and forth, board action. The reason I like this bait is when it really starts to warm up a little bit more, I can fish this a little bit faster. I'll get to my 7-to-1 reel and I can kind of burn this down. This is a good bait. Again, 10-pound fluorocarbon. Got a couple other colors I really like in this thing. Believe it or not, this one I caught them really good on one day, and it is just it's just a bright orange with a purple back on it. Great in that dirtier water. Great when those fish really get on that red trap bite. You can run this thing in some deeper water and catch a few fish. Smallies really like this color, by the way. And then I had to get this one right here, Muddy Water Crawl. This is probably my favorite color in the Curve 55. That green tomato that's made Strike King so popular in the spring. This thing right here, this catches them. And I really like the trap in this color as well. And got me a little red crackle crawl. So if you want to get any Curve 55s, listen, get the crawfish colors and get you some of these phantom crawls too. I think they make a ghost melon crawl that's really good, a PB&J crawl, a ghost Missouri crawl, the Curve 55 10-pound test. It's going to work really, really well. That's going to make this bait dive the deepest and get the best action. Again, it's the winter time, so I'm going to go with the rods that are a little bit softer. Because these fish aren't real aggressive. Sometimes they're just going to come up and nip at it. There's good hooks on these 6-cent baits, but if you're still having problems, I'd switch to a light wire, like a G-finesse hook, soft rod, and when you get that fish on, you don't have to horse it. It's tired, it's cold. It's not going to come up and jump. Just keep pressure on it, you'll get them in the boat. So, somebody said something about one of my favorite baits, which is this guy right here. I talked about it like 3 weeks in a row. The Rapala DT Flat 7. Guys, I got a mail call. I got so many of these things now. I even got them in Demon. But what makes this bait great is you can get the action of a flat side into about 7 to 10 foot down. Again, light line. I really like this bait. Throwing it the same place as guys throw a Shad Rap, because I can throw it on a bait caster, and you catch a lot of fish on this thing. Unfortunately, they discontinued it and they're hard to find, but I'm going to stick to my reds, my chartreuse and purple here, and this color right here is really good too, especially in stained water. That's they call that penguin, or no, smash. That's my 3 main colors. If you find these, bomb, they work. But the one thing is they're so narrow. You get a really tight action with that. In that cold water, a lot of times those bass want that real tight action. And they're balsa, so when they hit something, they deflect, they float real fast, and that's when you're going to get a lot of bites. Let's go through some more of these winter crankbaits, but all this stuff dives in that 7 to 12 foot range. That it seems like a lot of people seem to miss. They want to go super shallow or super deep. One of my all-time favorite spring crankbaits. Somebody just mentioned it, especially for the winter. And I really like this bait when it warms up a little bit more. I got 2. I'll show you. Someone mentioned Spro. Well, that is a good mention. This is the Spro Little John Baby DD. So this is going to get out to that 10 to 14 foot range. You can see I've had this thing tied on. I'm going to fish this one on those transition banks that are a lot deeper, where my boat would sit in like 20 foot and I'm casting to 8 to 10 foot. This is a great bait. Again, it's a deep dive and flat side. I'm going to throw this color right here from right now to probably the end of March 90% of the time. Now, if I get some really stained water, I might go with something chartreuse and blue. Now, once I start getting into the bays, running down some shallower banks, I'm going to go to this guy right here, which is its baby brother, which is the Little John MD. And that's root beer chartreuse, one of my favorite colors. But again, spring crawl, and root beer chartreuse. That's going to be staples. Now, because I'm not going to fish these baits as deep, and I throw these through some nasty stuff, they don't hang up, I'm going to throw these on 12-pound sunline fluorocarbon. But I'll use the same rod I use for my warts and all that. I want something 7-foot, medium action, moderate fast. I want it to load up really well. Let's see. What water temp would top water be starting to hit? My rule is 55. The water's 55. There's a fish out there that will eat on top. Yeah, man, I do, Charlie. I've got a problem. Let's see. I'm gonna try to answer a few questions. What about Strike King 4 and 5? Since 5XD is a deep crank. Actually, 5XD, it's in the middle. Yes, it's extra deep, but it is one of my favorite winter crankbaits, believe it or not. I've caught a lot of fish the last couple winters on a 5XD and a 6XD. That would be in what I would call the deep cranking category. And you can do that in the winter. What is the purpose of the coffin bill on those cranks? What that does, it gives it even tighter action. You can find some old Bandit Flat Max, and they have a real narrow coffin bill, and I mean, it's just super, super tight. It almost looks like the bait's not even moving. I don't own a tackle store, man. I answered that about every week, and yeah, I'm no longer working there, unfortunately, and we'll just leave it at that. You know, it's all good. What's up, JD? Giant cranks in the winter, yes. 10XD is awesome. Now, that is a special situation. 10XD, 6XD, stuff like that, very special situation, but you can catch them on it, and when you do, they're giants. So let's see, I cover the Spros. You know, stick to a Rapala. This bait, I catch them. That's a DT6 right there, and this one's been used and abused. Hot mustard, red craw, any of those colors are really good. And that DT6 again, it just catches them. A great beginner crankbait is this right here. The reason I say that is you can fish a DT6 anywhere in the country, and you can get bit. You can fish it on a grass lake, fish it on a clear reservoir. You can fish it on the TVA chain. You can fish it in Tidal River. No, I'm going to change the hooks out on this, to be honest with you. I don't like these sure set hooks. I actually get hung in more stuff, but I couldn't find them the other day, so I had to scrounge my dad's tackle box. But this is a great bait. Unfortunately, DT6 only runs about 6 foot if you're good. But I'm always going to use fluorocarbon, Jesse. Let's see. What line do you use on them deep cranks? Fireline, Spider, Walmart, what? I use Sunline, Assassin. 10, 12, or 14 pound. I don't crank with braid. Some guys do. Don't be scared to throw a lot line on big baits, especially crankbaits. Because you know what? If you hit a brush pile and you break off, if it's not hung in the brush pile, it floats all the way back to the top. As many crankbaits as I broke off in the last 20 years, I've saved a lot by just waiting around and they float back up. So, and if it's a fish, you'll know because he'll come up and jump, try to throw the bait. This is one a lot of guys forget about. This is a great winter crankbait. Again, this is in that mid-depth area. This is a Bomber fat-free shad, and this is the small one. I think they even call this the fat-free fingerling. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even think they make this color anymore. But this is this bait has some really good rattling to it, and this is going to have a little bit wider action to it. It's got some rattles, and this thing right here will catch them. Totally different. You're not going to see a lot of guys on your lake throwing this bait because they kind of forget about it. This bait covers that 8 to 10 foot range really, really well. I really like these red colors, and this one right here is really good too. And I know this is discontinued. This is a shallow diving fat-free fingerling. See, it's got a little bit smaller bill. This is like a translucent red. This is really, really good. Very similar to like a deep little end, which we'll talk about in a minute. Damn, hook got me. hook got me. So let me put some of these in these box real quick. Now I'll answer a few more questions. I really need more baits, guys. I need a lot more baits. That would solve a lot of problems if I had more baits. Like 10 times the amount I have right now. Alright, we'll move on to some other crankbaits. Know anything about biggin baits? No, I don't know anything about biggin baits. Never heard of it. You said fat-free guppy. Yeah, that's the shorter diver one. That is the fat-free guppy. I've got like 2 or 3 different styles in this thing. But man, they were hard to find. Hard to find. Alright, let's get into some other crankbaits. Do you know when the best time to fish big swim bait and glide bait on the Lake of the Ozarks? I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't matter where you're in the country. Is when that water is at that 52, 53 degree mark, that's when you want to start throwing the glide baits. Same as cranking everything. The fish are going to get a little bit more active once that water gets in the 50 degrees. 65 is like prime time. Those fish are going to get aggressive. They're going to want to feed hard before they get their spawn on. So just remember that. The lake doesn't matter whether it's you know, Falls Lake, North Carolina, or Clear Lake, California. All right. Let's see. I'm going to answer some questions before we go through my next box of crankbaits. Did I see when Hank Hill was catching bass with a crack? No, I didn't. Do your little John hooks ever get tangled? Yeah, they do. That's the only downside of that bait. Sometimes your front and back hook gets tangled up. It's just the way it is. That's the only thing I can say. But it would never stop me from using that bait. Hey, those 3 frog things they came out with, do you think if it's a hoax or do they catch fish? I don't understand your question. I don't know what the 3 frog thing you're talking about. Let's see. Alright. Any recommendations for changing hooks on the Megabass Vision 110 Junior? It's size 8. Yikes. Those are small hooks. I would go up to a number 6 and I would look for the, if you're not going to use Megabass hooks, I would go with the Gamakatsu Air Martin's G Finesse. Those are really good and they're not going to mess the action of your bait up. That's what I like. Yeah, I do like to use the G Finesse hooks quite a bit. I do use a glass cranking rod or a blend rod. Is Old Excalibur one of the best slips there is? Yeah, I mean, they're really, really good. People are going to argue with me, but I'm telling you the new ones, there's like the only difference is the size of the tungsten knocker. But as far as the bait's the same. They had 3 live target frogs on the waters. Oh, yeah. No, I don't know about that. I would have to mess with that. Yeah, y'all look at Matt's video. He's the hook guy. 8-foot heavy, moderate action for deep cranks. Yeah, I wouldn't use that unless you're going to go planning cranking 20-foot or deeper. But that's a really good deep crank one. I got a Loomis 959. It's like 711. Dobbins 806 glass is an awesome deep crank rod. For stuff like I've been showing you guys, you really don't need to go over 7 foot. You can get away with 7.6 if you want to. What do you think of the dial with Steese for cranks? I would buy a Tatula Elite because it's the same blank and about half the price. Matter of fact, you know, this one I got right here. This is the Takahiro 7-foot cranking rod. I can throw any of these baits I've been talking about on there. Let's see. Do I prefer a higher pitch knock or deeper sound? Believe it or not, I don't prefer knocking bait. I want a rattling bait. I think everybody's throwing those knocking baits now, and I really believe the fish have kind of got used to it, especially on these lakes here. I've had a lot better success using the normal 6-cents Quake than I have the Thud. And the Thud's a good bait, but you can go behind somebody throwing a 1-knocker and you can knock their lights out because those fish don't hear that rattle anymore. go. All right, going to answer a few more. You and the guys from Tactical Bassing do a Q&A around Kentucky Lake. They would have to ask me questions. I'd give them answers. I'd love to get Matt out here for sure. Hopefully we can get that knocked out this year. Here in Michigan, our waters are open now. What do you think the best method to use in cold water for catching toads? In Michigan, A-rig. A-rig, absolutely. And you watch Zone Live, you can smash them on an A-rig. Put you in a little Kitex or Rage Swimmers back there. What are your thoughts on the Daiwa cage rods? Great rods, price point rods. They're kind of like a Shimano X-Age. That would be the best comparison. They're good rods for the money. Do you crank in late April? Man, I crank all year round. I'm telling you, if I still owned a boat, you would see that I would have 2 crankbait rods on the deck all the time. All right, have anything to say about the new Lew's LFS reel, the $200 one? That would be the Tournament Pro G LFS. Yes, great reel, super smooth, palms in your hand very well. You won't be disappointed in that if you're a Lew's fan. I'm personally a Shimano Daiwa guy, but I've really grown to like the Lew's as well. Jerky J bite starts up. You can catch them on it now, fishing real slow like a swim bait, but it gets really hot 1st of May. I used to film hunting shows for a living. I'm going to get back into hunting. I'm going to get me a Matthews bow, and I'm going to start smoking some deer. But let's get back in here and talk about some of these crankbaits. We're going to go a little deeper. And this is one of my favorites. Somebody mentioned earlier, this is a Norman Deep Little N, and as you can imagine, this is my color. Great 10 to 12 foot diver, and yes, this is a pre-Pradco one. When these fish, there gets a lot of current on Kentucky Lake in the winter, and they'll seem to stack up on the main lake points or bars. I don't know why, but this bait right here will just flat catch them. It's got a really good side-to-side action. It's got some rattle to it. It hits the bottom real well. If you like that 10-foot range, this is a great crankbait. A lot of people don't talk about these anymore, but the guys that know love the deep little N. And this is another color I really like during the winter. This is called a Mountain Dew. I don't even know if they make some of these colors anymore. Deep little N is really good bait. Believe it or not, I like this one as well. This is Baby Bass Root Beer. I've had really good luck on that. I wish I had a middle N in here. If you know, guys know what I'm talking about. A middle N is a little bit smaller than that, but another great winter crankbait. Someone mentioned it before about the 5XD. This is just the pure old Series 5, and I like that root beer color, especially in spring, winter. Series 5, you catch a lot of fish on. It has a different action than a 5XD or 6XD. Gets in that, you know, almost a 12-foot range. That is a really good bait. You know, I was told by someone at Strike King, when the pros order crankbaits, they order more Series 5 than anything. So that should tell you something. But great winter bait. I actually like fishing this one through brush piles. For some reason, it comes through brush really well. Yes, I will crank brush in the winters. A lot of times in those old crappie hideouts, old bucket mouth is hanging out as well. So, here's a couple more winter crankbaits. I think I got another box in here somewhere we need to go through. Yep, sure do. Sure do. It would be hard for me to talk winter crankbait fishing without talking about this guy right here. And this is the Shad Rap. Probably one of the most well-known winter crankbaits ever, the Shad Rap. Now, I don't throw this on a bait caster. I use about a 7-foot medium spinning rod to cast these. They do get kind of hard to cast. Rip wrap, boat docks, any kind of 45-degree bank, Shad Rap is awesome. Smallmouth, love these things. I don't throw too many colors. I try to stick to my browns or something like this little shad right here. And actually, I do pretty good on this little bluegill color, and I really like the number 7. That's my favorite size. But Shad Rap's awesome. If you're up north, these guys, those smallmouths up north, love the Shad Rap, and they like them here in the south, especially on those deep rocky lakes, your Ozark lakes, stuff like that. Shad Raps are absolutely great baits. Man, I got some gems in this box. Look at here. Look at this Excalibur square bill. I probably ought to sell that. How about a Strike King balsa crank? Actually, it's a cedar crankbait. I used to throw these all the time back when I was a little bitty guy. These will catch them. These are really hard to find too, but that is a Strike King cedar crankbait. So that's kind of my winter crankbaits. I've probably got a few more I could talk about. I've got so many crankbaits though. So let me answer a few more questions. Oh yeah. Guess what I found? Remember you guys, me telling you guys about this bait right here? Oh yeah, that's right. I found more Skeet Mini DRs. That's my favorite color right there, Japan Craw. If you can find that one, you will slay. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take this out of the package to show you why I like this bait a whole lot. If you like throwing a bandit, this guy right here, you throw this in the same place you throw a bandit, and you can actually get this bait down to like, it says 6 feet. I can get it down to 8 on 10-pound test fluoro. It's really unique. Instead of a round bill, it's kind of squared off, kind of like that KVD 1.5 DD, a little smaller body. This guy right here will catch them. This color is called Japan Craw. If you found these things right here, snatch them all up and then let me know. What about pose? Man, JD, I don't throw pose much anymore. And it probably should, because you can still catch them on a pose. Alright, now I'll answer a few. Do you like fishing weight baits? I do, but I don't own many of them. Spro Rock Crawler, I talked about that in the beginning, Pat. Do you use a low gear ratio reel on mid-depth crankbaits? Depends. This time of year in the winter, I don't want that bait blowing by the fish. So yeah, I'll crank with like a 5.6, but 6.3 to 1 is really my comfort zone now. So for the most part, I like a 6 because they don't pull really, really hard. I can make myself slow down. When you get in those deep divers, I'll use a 6 sometimes, but I like that 5 to 1 just because I got more torque on it. But the winter, I don't want it blowing by. Now, when that water hits about 60 degrees, I can crank on a 7 because throughout the day, fish seem to get more aggressive and I can fish it just a little bit faster. St. Croix has awesome rods. That S-Glass from St. Croix, that is one of the lightest cranking rods you'll see. I found a great deal on one the other day for like 160 bucks, but I'm poor, so I couldn't buy it. Best crankbait for chick year round, probably a 6XD. I mean, you can fish that in the winter, summer, the spring. I love chick. I hope Alex Rudd take me there. Thanks, Killer5. I don't use any Livingston baits really. I'm not a believer in that Bluetooth stuff. No, I just don't think sending an electronic signal through a Bluetooth adapter is going to catch you any more fish. I think the action on their baits will catch you fish, but I mean, I feel like that same in Hydrowave. I don't think it helps you. I don't think it hurts you. So, but the bait's a catch fish. Alright, think about trying braid to fluoro. Always straight fluoro, but wanted to try something different. What do you think? Go for it. I haven't done it cranking, but I do know guys, you know, on swim baits, I have done that. I like it. I just don't like tying the leader knot. So, this is a Lucky Craft. This bait's discontinued, Jerome, but if you can find it, golden. Great bait. My favorite color is root beer chartreuse, but that's really hard to find. But Japan Craw, it's really good. This Tennessee Shad's really good. But you know, winter crankbait fishing is all about getting your baits. Is finding the right depth. And sticking with it. You're not going to get 50 bites a day. Some days it's going to be a grind, and you're going to cast and cast and cast. You're only going to catch 4 or 5 fish. That's why it's really important to have super sharp hooks, a good reel, good rods, so when you get a bite, you can get that fish in the boat. I usually start, like I said, in that 10 to 12 foot range, and depending on if it warms up or cools down, I'll back off or deeper. Let the fish tell you. Now with the electronics are so good, you can find a lot of fish offshore. And when I talked about that 10XD, that 6XD, you can graph a lot of fish on our lakes that set up on those ledges and drops like they would in the summer, and they're not tampered with. And you can catch them, pull a big plug behind them, and you can catch those fish. Let's see, what do you think about the high water at Rayburn? If it was about, if the water was warmer, and this was in like March, it would be awesome. I think it would be a bush flipping, floating worm kind of deal, and they still may do that. I think it's going to make that lake fish really, really big. Well, dude, Vernon, send me a message. When you're out in Massachusetts, DM me. Show some great spots. All right, I'll DM you when I go to Massachusetts. I go there like every day. Just kidding. I don't. But I could. You never know. All right, guys. I got about 10 minutes, and I got to get ready for work. Work 10 hours, build some windows. It's going to be really exciting. I wish I didn't have to do that, but I got to. Would you recommend DC for a first-time bait caster use? Yeah, actually I would. The Corrado DC is going to help you in those windy days, less backlashes, because it's really hard, even for me, when the wind really gets up. The way we fish out here, a lot of times you're going to cast into the wind because you want to be fishing to get, you know, with the current, and the wind's the opposite. So DC is a great first-time bait casting reel, and it's got a beginner setup on there. Dallas, I do not always change out my hooks. I probably change my hooks less than 15% of the time. I'm just going to be straight honest with you. I would love to be able to, you know, spend hundreds of dollars in hooks every month, but I don't. And part of that is just me being lazy, and part of it, I think companies put hooks on things now that are so good, you don't have to change them out all the times. Now, I do have my favorite hooks, so when I do change, I like the owners and, you know, the G Finesse from Gamakatsu on certain baits, but for the most part, I don't. Now, if I was more into tournament fishing and all that stuff, yeah, I'd probably change my hooks out a lot. Now saying that, if you want to improve your catch to landing ratio, absolutely change your hooks out. It does make a huge difference, but you know, working man here, and I'll be honest, I'm just lazy and I forget to do it. So, is the Shimano Tranx 200 series worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. If that's the kind of style reel you're looking for, I would go with it. I'd like to get one. Hopefully, my buddy at Shimano can hook me up. Man, if I could get a kayak, I'd love to. Fortunately, I don't have a kayak hookup anymore, but I'm sure I could probably find one if I pursued it. I just have to shell out my own money, which is fine. I really still like the Bonafide kayaks the best. But there's nothing wrong with Jackson or Hobie or nothing, but I like the looks of the Bonafides. So I would also get my butt whipped in a kayak. Heck yeah, Ike, we'll get that 6 cent stuff going. I would just get the Corrado DC. Scorpion's just the Japan version. Carolina rig is great for cold water bass. What bait? I would just use a brush hog or any kind of creature bait, something that doesn't have a crazy amount of action. One of my favorites is putting a trick worm on a Carolina rig in the winter. That's deadly. Heck yeah, I'm hoping get to do some traveling. One good thing about my work is they announced another schedule, so I'm actually going to get about 3.5 days off a week. Still want you to get Sean Penn and Craig Hipsher on with you sometime. Absolutely, Craig don't live too far from me, and we'll get Craig on here. Craig would be a great guy to talk about springtime spinnerbait fishing. He is the man fishing spinnerbaits in the spring. So, get this new equipment all working properly. We'll get Craig over here, me over here, and he can talk and tell stories, and it'll be awesome. So, all right, guys, I'm going to jump off here. I really appreciate you guys so much. Thanks again for watching. I hope you learned something about some baits in winter crankbait fishing. Guys, let me know your suggestions. Head to my website, the-baitman.com. Check out the latest reviews, my articles in the blog. Be sure to share it on social media. I'll put a giveaway up tomorrow on my Facebook page. And you guys have a great night. And thank you guys so much.